Since the early 2010s, mobile games have become increasingly popular. Games like Angry Birds, Candy Crush, and Pokemon Go have introduced people to a whole new type of game genres. Unfortunately, there is a specific genre of mobile game that has taken hold of me, attached itself to my brain, and has decided to never let me go. Gacha games. If I were to develop a gambling addiction, it would be because of gacha games. For those of you who aren't in the know, gacha games are video games that have gacha mechanics. It's typically where the game expects you to spend in-game currency to summon for characters, weapons, or other in-game items. Some popular examples that you may know of, it would be Genshin Impact or Raid Shadow Legends. Hashtag not sponsored by Raid, by the way. Don't let the term in-game currency fool you either. Gacha games usually give out a limited amount of its in-game currency, and depending on the game, it can be given in small amounts over a period of time or earned by in-game missions. But of course, if you find yourself low on this in-game currency, you can always replenish it with real-life currency. They want your bread, your dough, every single one of your Benjamins. You could always be a normie free-to-play player and not spend any money, but there's something about using all your resources on a character that you wanted and not getting them that just makes you open up your wallet and just pray to the gacha gods that this is finally the pull that nets you exactly what you wanted. Especially if said gacha game is blatantly pay to win. With that said, enter me. Hey, who at the time was in high school with no money, no job, and a new love for anime. And I had a lot of times on my hands to watch animes like Death Note, Sword Art Online, Pokemon, and a very obscure one that I don't think a lot of people have ever heard of. I think it was called Dragon Ball? At this point in time, there wasn't easy access for me to watch Dragon Ball, but that didn't stop me from becoming the biggest fanboy. I loved everything the series had to offer, from its characters to its power system to the unnecessary amount of screaming and posturing it takes to transform or use a special move. And once I was brave enough to use some of those unofficial anime websites, I was able to watch Dragon Ball in its entirety, and needless to say, I was hooked. At this point in time, Dragon Ball Super wasn't a thing yet, and we weren't getting a lot of official Dragon Ball content other than the games, but I never had any of the Dragon Ball games growing up as a kid for any of the consoles that I had, which is really sad now that I think about it. But then we got hit with Battle of Gods, and then shortly after, Resurrection F, and then shortly after that, Dragon Ball Super started airing, and things could not have been going better for me as a Dragon Ball fan. And now I'm in high school, and one day I saw an ad for a game that I never saw before. A brand new Dragon Ball game. An official Dragon Ball game. And it's on the phone, and it's free? Awesome! Wow. So I took my Android and I looked it up on the Google Play Store. And I found the game, Dokkan Battle. Finally, I get to play an actual Dragon Ball game. So of course, I free up all the storage I can in order to download this thing. Took some trial and error, but eventually, I got it to download. Little did I know that I was downloading my very first gacha game. And that moment would quite literally change the course of my life forever.
What's a Dragon Ball? What's a Dragon Ball?
So in order to thoroughly explain this long and complicated relationship I have with Dokkan Battle, I think it's important to briefly go over my love of Dragon Ball. If you are someone who has never heard or knows nothing about Dragon Ball, here is your brief overview. Created by Akira Toriyama, Dragon Ball tells the story of Son Goku, a freakishly strong little kid who can turn into a great ape when he stares at the full moon, who then grows up to be an even freakishly stronger man who can change his hair multiple colors when he gets really angry. He goes from fighting this weird gremlin creature to other martial artists to fighting an entire army and even a demon king? Okay, so it can't get crazier than that, right? After getting married and having a kid, his brother just decides to show up one day from outer space and explains that Goku is not a human, but he's in fact a Saiyan. Saiyans are extremely powerful space conquerors who are now mostly extinct until Toriyama decided that more survived. But at this point, Goku has to fight his brother, and then he fights even more Saiyans. And then he fights a space tyrant. And then he fights a biomechanical android. And then... okay, that's just a fat Kirby. Needless to say, Goku is a fighter who always finds a way to rise above his limits and go even further beyond. He, of course, isn't alone. He's got his best friend Krillin, who has trained by his side since they were kids, and he's dead. Okay, well, remember that Demon King? He had a son who's named after him, Piccolo, and he's super strong, and he's dead. One of the Saiyans that Goku fights is named Vegeta, and he teams up with him to fight that space tyrant, and he's dead too. Okay, well, no worries, because Goku is super strong and never backs down from any challenge. There is no way that, oh no, he's dead too. Like, super dead. He's got a halo and everything. Well, you see, in this world, there are 7 orbs called the Dragon Balls. Get it? Dragon Balls? Because name of the show? Get it? After collecting all 7, you can summon a giant wish-granting dragon that can grant any one wish. So, no worries, death is not a consequence in this anime, because every major character in Dragon Ball has at least died once and has been wished back by the Dragon Balls. It gets so ridiculous to the point where even the wish-granting dragon dies. But no worries, because on another planet, there are even bigger Dragon Balls with an even bigger wish-granting dragon, who was able to revive the original wish-granting dragon and a whole planet. So while the concept of death isn't the greatest in this anime, it makes up for allowing these characters to grow from their experiences. Aside from Goku, we also have Vegeta, that Saiyan earlier that I was telling you about, who started off as a main villain, but through all his battles, experiences, and multiple deaths, we see him transition from the evil tyrant that he was in the beginning to a genuine good person. He has a very proud personality. Being the Prince of all Saiyans, he has an inflated ego. He points his thumb at himself and proclaims to be the best, but then proceeds to get humbled in every single way, shape, and form. But like Goku, he strives to be the best. But sometime along the way, he ends up finding love, and eventually he has a kid, and he becomes slowly domesticated to Earth life. It all comes to a point during the final battle with Kid Buu, where Vegeta, who is actually dead at this point, asked the dragon to revive all the people on Earth who has died except for the evil people, and the dragon makes it so, and Vegeta is surprised to see himself revived as well. He was not expecting it. After all he's done in his life, and trust me, he has done terrible things, he was able to change for the better. It's character arcs like Vegeta that really got me hooked into Dragon Ball when I was a kid. And yes, while the endless amount of Super Saiyan transformations, special attacks, and wacky insane character designs did play a huge role, being able to see these characters grow and subsequently grow alongside them really struck a chord with me. Any Dragon Ball fan can tell you that this is a very bare bones explanation of what the series is all about, and I could honestly go on for hours talking about Dragon Ball. But that's probably a topic for another video. Just know that I love Dragon Ball. So what do you get when you mix one of my favorite animes of all time with a gacha game? Well, you get a dedicated player who has been playing for over 2,700 days and counting. Let me try to justify this to you. Dokkan was first made available in Japan on January 30th, 2015, published by Bandai Namco, and we wouldn't see an international release until July 16th of 2015. Due to the timing difference between the release of the Japanese and the international versions of the game, they're effectively referred to as JP and Global in the community, which is how I will refer to them going forward. So while both versions are Dokkan, JP is ahead by a good couple months. And just recently, about a year ago, we got notification of the global sync, which basically means that the schedules for the JP version and the global version are going to be the same. Nothing too important right now. I just wanted to mention it real quick because it is super important, but moving on. So because we have JP and global, you pretty much have two different types of Dokkan players. You have your JP players or you have your global players. And while technically the JP version is only exclusive to Japan, there are ways for you to circumvent this and you're actually able to download the game regardless of what region you're on. But me personally, I never knew about this when I first initially found out about Dokkan, and when I did find out, I wasn't really too interested. I was already attached to my global account and I just continued with it. Do I regret it? Maybe, but hey, you live and learn. But to be clear, the in-game audio for JP and the in-game text is all in Japanese. That means that there are some JP players out there who are playing the game not be able to understand anything. And for the long-time dedicated JP players, they have learned actually what the specific kanji means for what they're specifically looking for. And if that doesn't show the level of dedication this community has to this game, I don't know what does. In fact, this community is so dedicated to this game that while technically it's already passed on JP, Global is finally gonna get the 9th anniversary celebration. That means that we have been playing this game for 9 years. So you're probably thinking, wow, this game must be so impressive. It must be one of the best Dragon Ball games to ever exist. Better than Budokai Tenkaichi 3, better than Raging Blast 2, better than any Dragon Ball game on the market. This is probably the best Dragon Ball game you will ever lay your eyes on in your entire life. Okay, so I promise there's more to it than this. Just please hear me out. So yeah, I promise it's more than just bubble popping. But that kinda is the main gameplay mechanic of the game to begin with. So these bubbles are actually called orbs and they come in 5 different colors: red, blue, green, orange, and purple. And we have a 6th type of orb called a rainbow orb. These orbs are special. The 5 colors of the orbs correspond to the 5 typings that we have available within the game. Red is for strength, blue is for agility, green is for technical, purple is for intelligence, and orange is for physical. Going forward, I'm going to refer these as STR, AGL, Tech, Int, and Phys, respectively. When a unit collects an orb, they get Ki. Ki being a metaphysical thing that exists within the Dragon Ball universe, but in Dokkan, it's actually that meter that's around the portrait that you see down there. That's the Ki meter. And for most units, getting 12 Ki lets you unleash a super attack. And if you are an SCR unit, collecting an SCR Ki orb actually nets you double the Ki. So to be clear, if you collect 2 SCR orbs with an SCR unit, you actually get 4 Ki instead of 2 Ki. But to be clear, a unit doesn't need to pick up the same colored orb as they're typing. They can pick up any color they want. They just only get the +2 Ki benefit if they pick up the same type orb. That just leaves the rainbow orbs. Now the rainbow orbs are special because they don't specify to any typing. they're just rainbow, which means that a unit that collects a rainbow orb does not get the benefit of the +2. The main benefit of the rainbow orbs is they act as a bridge for other orbs. For example, if you have an AGL orb and then a rainbow orb on top, and then more AGL orbs above the rainbow, you would be able to collect all the AGL orbs. If that rainbow orb was replaced by an STR orb, you'd only be able to collect the one AGL orb. Rainbow orbs can also give specific characters benefits depending on what their kit says. We'll get into what that means shortly. Moving on from the orbs, we get to see our actual units in action. Towards the bottom, you'll see 3 units lined up in 3 positions: slot 1, slot 2, and slot 3. Around the portraits of the characters, you can see the key meter that I was referring to earlier. This key meter pretty much shows how much key a character has and tells you how much you need to hit before they can get a super attack. Down here, you can also see little circles with the picture of the enemy that you're currently fighting. This means that the enemy is actually attacking you in these positions. For example, this is showing right here that the enemy is attacking the slot 1 character. Slot 1 is a little special because the portraits on the left and right side of the slot mean that it's attacking slot 1 exclusively. If the portrait is after slot 2, then it's only attacking slot 2, and the same for slot 3. With that being said, the units aren't statically locked in the position that they start in. Under normal circumstances, you'll be able to move them around freely however you want within the 3 slots. But once you collect an orb with that unit, then they're locked in there. So essentially, the name of the game is to move the units in the desired slots that you want them in, collect as many orbs as you can in order to unleash a super attack, and hit the boss over and over again until it dies. It doesn't get much more complicated than that. But for right now, I want to focus on why you spend money in this game to begin with: the units. In gacha games, rarities mean how good the unit is, essentially. The better the rarity, the better the unit. In Dokkan, there were really only 4 rarities worth talking about: SSR, UR, TUR, and LR. Typically, units start as an SSR, or super rare, or maybe super special rare. Truthfully, I'm kinda not really sure. It's not really specified within the game what SSR is supposed to mean, but it's something like that. Collecting medals within the game allow you to Z-awaken a unit from an SSR to a UR, ultra rare. After this, depending on the unit, you can awaken them again, but this time it's called Dokkan Awakening, and you're able to make them a TUR, or Transcended UR. Now, there is no TUR logo because that's technically not a typing within the game, but that's pretty much what the community calls it when you Dokkan Awaken a character. They become Transcended. For a majority of these units, the TUR stage is usually where they stop at, but there are special units in this game that can Dokkan Awaken again from a TUR and become the coveted LR, Legendary Rare. LRs are the cream of the crop in Dokkan. There is nothing above them, and they are considered some of the best units that the game has to offer. So of course, a good majority of them you have to spend stones for. And guess what? If you spend stones, then you might buy stones. And this is, you get it. This is how they take your money. They don't care. They just want your money. You want the good units? Pay up. Or just be lucky. Yeah, be lucky. So what exactly are you paying for here? A PNG of the character? I mean, depending on who you ask, yeah. There are some people who play this game purely for the collection aspect of these characters, which is kind of crazy, but I mean, to each their own. For me personally though, I spend my money because of what the units do in battle, and maybe sometimes because the animations of the unit is super cool, or it's a super cool hype unit like LR Gogeta or LR Beast Gohan. So it's a couple of reasonings, but the main majority reason is because of the battle aspects. If you're not a Dokkan player, I'm going to try my best to explain what these units do in the most basic way possible. That way, it's easy to understand and I don't have to get into the nitty gritty of the complicated stuff, because this game can get pretty complicated actually. There's a lot of reading. And remembering as well, there's a lot of units in this game and a lot of them have unique abilities specifically for that unit, so it's kind of hard to remember everything, but I try my best. If you're watching this as a Dokkan player, just bear with me. Before I get into specifics, I want to highlight the unit art in the game. These arts are so nice, and LR arts are even better because they look detailed and animated, and wow. And don't ask me why, but the art for Int Turles is my favorite art in the entire game? I don't know why. There's something about it that I just resonate with. I am not even a Turles fan. I just like the art. And it's kind of funny because the game allows you to have like a kind of a profile, and you're able to set your favorite unit in that profile, and of course, Turles is mine. Something else that I appreciate is that the art changes when you Dokkan Awaken a character. Usually this is a good thing because the Dokkan Awakened art is cooler, but there are some cases where the SSR art is actually better, or I mean I just prefer them, and the TUR art is not the best. Moving on from the art though, I want to start talking about what the units are actually doing in the game. So first we have the leader skill. Usually every unit has a leader skill, but only one leader skill is active at a time. You specifically want to put the character that you want the leader skill to be active on in the leader slot when you make your team. That means that that character's leader skill is being activated and no one else's are. So sometimes it's a good thing when leader skills are good, but they could become irrelevant as time goes on. But essentially this pretty much just gives buffs to all the other units that are within the team. So you want to make sure that your leader skill is aligned with every unit, and every unit within your team is going to be getting the buffs that the leader skill provides. For example, AGL Super Vegito's leader skill is AGL type Ki +4 and HP attack and defense plus 100%. This means that when you build your team, you only want to make them out of AGL units, because if you don't, then they're not going to receive the leader skill benefit. Next is a unit's super attack. When you meet the key criteria for a super attack, it'll activate. Every unit has their own unique super attack, but to use Vegito as an example again, his super attack specifically causes immense damage to enemy and raises allies' attack by 35% for one turn. To put it bluntly, when he supers, he does damage, and then he raises the damage of your allies. Can't get much simpler than that. Next up is the unit's passive skill, which is pretty much the lifeblood of any unit. If you have a good passive skill, you have a good unit. Vegito's passive skill is attack and defense plus 40% within the same turn after receiving an attack, foresees enemy super attack when HP is 40% or less, and damage received from normal attacks minus 80% and counters with tremendous power. Now this is just Vegito's passive skill, and it's only unique to him. Every other unit in this game has their own unique passive skills, so you can imagine it gets kind of hard to remember everything. And trust me, there is a lot. And Vegito's passive skill is on the shorter side of things, because there are some units in the game that are...
Flap and Flotsam, what's that?
Yeah, they can get pretty ridiculous. So below the passive skill, you can see hidden potential and then skill orb. I'm going to skip this for right now because I'm going to cover this a little later. So now I want to focus on link skills. Most modern units have 7 link skills, or just links. And the way that these links work is that you link up with other units on your team that share the same link skills. And if you do share the same link skill, then you will get the benefit that the link provides. For example, this link, Prepared for Battle, gives Ki +2 and attack and defense plus 5%. And then you can see all the units in the game that share the same link skill. So if Vegito is right next to any of these units, then they both will be getting Ki +2 and attack and defense plus 5%. There are also levels to these links. All of them start at 1, but you can level them up to a maximum of 10. And you would think that if you're leveling up something that it should be an arbitrary EXP system or something. Yeah, no, it's just random chance. to level up depending on certain factors in the game. Truthfully, I don't even understand 100% how it works, but it's RNG, essentially. I hate link leveling. And below the links, you will see categories. Categories are essentially how the game categorizes these units, and categories play a big part in certain team formation. For example, if you didn't know, Vegito is actually a fusion of Goku and Vegeta. So one of his categories is called Fused Fighters because he is a fused fighter. Everything I've talked about so far is pretty much like the bare bones technical aspects of the unit, but there's another aspect that I kind of mentioned earlier about why I spent my money on this game in the first place, and it's more of the artistic animation side of things. And boy, will I tell you that this game has some of the best animations for a mobile game I have ever seen. Dokkan's animations over the years have aged like fine wine. Since 2015, the basic animations for those early units are so basic and lackluster that you don't pay them any thought anymore, because these new modern units have seriously some really goated animations. We got super attack animations that went from this to this. And for the longest time, that was pretty much all we were getting until the game introduced active skills, baby. We've moved on from Vegito because unfortunately he does not have an active skill, but this unit right here is actually the first unit in Dokkan to ever have one. This is LR Tech, Super Saiyan Gohan, and Gotex. The active skill details two things, a condition and an effect. For this unit, the condition states that it can be activated when HP is 59% or less when facing only one enemy from the start of the third turn from start of battle, once only. And the effect is that it massively raises attack and temporarily causes ultimate damage to the enemy. It's essentially just a super buffed super attack. Not all active skills do damage, by the way. Some can give buffs or debuffs to your allies or enemies depending on what's written. But the best part about these active skills, in my opinion, is that once activated, you actually get to see a unique voiced animation specific for this active skill. And just like how super attacks were kind of lackluster in the beginning, these active skills were also quote unquote lackluster for the time as well, and they have only gotten better as time goes on. Now I just want to mention something real quick. I watched exclusively Dragon Ball dubbed. Nothing against the sub, and I'm not trying to get into a dub versus sub debate, but that's just how I watched it when I was a kid, and I really liked the dub voice acting. Unfortunately, I can't say the same about the dub voice acting in this game. Since I play Global Dokkan, the game actually gives you a choice to play on dub or sub. So essentially, I'm either listening to the English voices or the Japanese voices. And I've exclusively only have ever played with the Japanese voices on because I just think they sound so much better than the English voices. Let me just show you an example. This is LR STR Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta's active skill.
The real fight begins now. No one can stop me now. Final shine! Attack!
Now let's listen to that again, but with the Japanese turned on.
本当の戦いはこれからだ。今の俺は誰にも止められんぞ。ファイナルシャインアタック。
I can admit that both versions don't sound the best, but me personally, his active skills specifically is what made me turn on the Japanese voices in the first place, and I have not looked back since. And in my opinion, I think that 99.9% of all the voice animations in the game sound better in Japanese than they do in English. But there is that 0.1% exception. And I don't care if this was ripped straight from the movie, this is some of the best voice acting that Dragon Ball has to offer. The line just goes insanely hard, bro. Moving on, before I start a dub versus sub flame war in the comments, I want to talk about revival skills, which is the next voice animation that Dokkan introduced to us. To put it simply, if a unit has a revival and you die with that unit on rotation with the revival active, you will actually not die, but get revived. Crazy, right? And it plays a super cool animation when you get revived, depending on the unit, of course.
Kisama no make da. Mada shine ne na. Ome wo yatsukeru made wa na. Uchuu no minna! Ora ni genki o wakete kure! Thank you! Uchuu no minna! Iku ze!
Thankfully, Dokkan didn't stop there, because after the introduction of revival animations, we got intro animations. And just like active skills, these intros go insanely hard. Some intros even give you benefits in battle. For example, LR Int Goku, Vegeta, and Trunks' intro animation gives them attack effective against all types and reduces damage received by 30% for 5 turns from the character's entry turn when there are another 2 or more Super Saiyans or movie hero category allies on the team upon the character's entry. If you have no idea what I just said, by the way, that's alright. All you really need to know is that their intro animation gave them buffs, but they had to meet a condition before the intro could activate. Depending on the intro, that may be the case. Some characters don't have a condition or don't have buffs in the first place and are just nice animations to watch as you start the fight. And finally catching up to the present day in Dokkan, we get introduced to standby skills, which is kind of like an active skill, but instead of swiping up on the character portrait, you swipe down. To give an example, this is LR Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Like active skills, there are conditions and effects for standbys as well. His condition states that he needs to get hit 5 times in battle, and once he does, he's able to activate his standby, which says that he stands by for 4 turns, during which charge count increases by 2 per int or rainbow key sphere obtained by allies, or by 1 per type key sphere, int excluded, by allies. If you have no idea what I just said, that's fine. But what I do want you to know is that when he does activate his standby, he actually transitions into a brand new character, and he gets replaced by Oob. And as you play as Oob, your job is to get that charge count all the way up to its maximum level in order to activate your standby again so you can transition into full power Super Saiyan 4 Goku.
そろそろお手芸本気を出して決戦も決戦超最終決戦といこうじゃねえか
Oh, I'm sorry, it's actually super full power Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Let me put some respect on my man's name. This is probably one of my favorite units in the game. And this is for my Dokkanners who are watching this. Just take a look at that hidden potential system for me real quick. Yes, I did not give him his 5 dodge. He is sitting at 99%, and if you know, you know. And finally, we've caught up to the modern day of Dokkan. Now, I think it would be extremely criminal if I did not showcase some of my favorite animations that this game has to offer, so please enjoy this little compilation that I made of all the best animations in my opinion.
Minda, すまねえ。オラのために。
やはり人間は危険な存在。
来た！たまっちまえ！行け！サンキュードラゴンボール！おめえはすげえよ。よく頑張った。またな。必ずお前たちを倒す。ごはん甘ったれてんじゃねえぞ。
お前の力はこんなものじゃないだろう。
僕はヘド博士の最高傑作、そしてスーパーヒーローだ。
今度は僕の番だ。魔漢光殺法。
Before we continue, there's one more animation that I want to show you, but it's a little different because it's something that I edited. So to give some context before I show you it, essentially I play the game a majority of the time with the audio turned off, which is kind of counterproductive since I'm saying all this good stuff about the voice animations and all that stuff, but it's just a preference. Sometimes I just don't want to hear it all the time. I turn it on when needed and I get my fix before I turn it back off for a good couple months, but essentially because of this, I tend to listen to music while I play the game. And as I was listening to a song one day as I'm playing the game and I activated a certain animation, it just kind of stuck with me, and now like I can't unhear it whenever I see this animation. And unfortunately the unit that it's for is not a meta unit anymore, so I don't look at it too often anymore, but just recently I started using him again because of some specific missions in the game. And before I get too complicated, I just want to show you.
俺は悟空でもベジータでもない。俺は貴様を倒す者だ。
What you just heard was Tech LR Goku and Vegeta that fuse into Gogeta's active skill transformation, but I changed the OST with the official OST from the movie, and I can't unhear it. It goes unfathomably hard with this, and I just, ever since I accidentally listened to it with that animation playing one day, I cannot listen to it any other way. Before I continue, I do want to highlight one thing that I've neglected to talk about yet, and that is the OSTs that the game has to offer. The game's original soundtrack is so good. There are some genuine bangers hidden within these characters that you otherwise would have never known it has existed, because it's tied to a specific animation, active skill, revival, stuff like that. In fact, if I'm editing this right, you're currently listening to the active skill OST that plays during Gogeta's fusion animation that I just showed you. And this is still a banger. And no discredit to this OST because it slaps so hard, but I just, come on, you gotta admit, my version, I think it's good. And that's what matters. Doubly, in fact, this entire video so far has only had music from Dokkan. So if you've listened to anything and thought it was a banger, it's from this game. If you're curious about any of the tracks that I've played so far, or any of the tracks that play further on in this video, I'll be linking all of the soundtracks that I'm using in the description below. And a special shout out to DBZ World, who has a playlist of literally every OST that Dokkan has to offer. Without him, getting these OSTs would have been a lot more difficult than it needed to be. So shout outs to you, thank you so much. To bring this entire section to a close, there's one more main topic that I need to discuss with you guys, and it is the summoning aspect of the game. This is where Dokkan gets your money. So the premium currency that we have in Dokkan are called Dragon Stones, and Dragon Stones can be earned a multitude of ways. The first way is by logging in every day and doing daily missions. This pretty much just nets you a certain amount of Dragon Stones per day, and it's the driving force of what makes players like me come back and do these missions day after day. Along with your dailies, there are certain missions that get introduced as new content arrives, and depending on the event that is for, it can go away forever and you won't have a chance to complete it again if you haven't already. So you just want to make sure that you keep an eye out for that and that you do those missions, otherwise you might lose out on a good couple free stones. The second way to get Dragon Stones is to do the story mode, and any subsequent new event that the game introduces nets you at least 1 to 2 Dragon Stones depending on how many stages you have to complete. Essentially, each stage grants you 1 Dragon Stone, and that is great. What's not so great is that if you're a longtime player like me, you've already done everything you could possibly do within the game and just have to wait for new stages to arrive in order to get your Dragon Stones. It's a painful life. There is a mode that renews every month called Battlefield, and it basically just resets itself, so you'll be able to do it monthly to get a good amount of Dragon Stones every time it resets. So make sure you do your Battlefield. I know it sucks sometimes, but you gotta do it. There is also an event called an EZA, which stands for Extreme Z Awakening. I'll get into detail on what this is shortly, but essentially these are stages that appear for certain units that give you 30 stones minimum, and a lot of them are available, and minimum 30 stones, there's like so many EZAs to do, like it's so nice. But unfortunately, once you get your 30 stones and you surpass level 31 on the EZA, you don't get stones anymore. So yeah, it's also a non-renewable source, but at least these come very frequently, so that's the caveat. There is one more thing that you can do to get Dragon Stones in this game, and it's probably the most convoluted thing to do, and it's getting a job and paying for stones. Yeah, there's really no other way to sugarcoat it. Dokkan wants your money. They purposely don't give you a lot of Dragon Stones for the purpose of you wanting to spend money when you run out of Dragon Stones. But if you take a look at my stone count, you can see I've been saving up. Anniversary is just around the corner, so I have not summoned on anything essentially, and I've just been saving up all the stuff that I've been buying / earning in the game for one specific unit. Beast Gohan, please, I'm manifesting him now. I'm gonna get him, I'm gonna get Beast Gohan! Alternatively, you could like steal money to use for the game. I don't recommend that, but technically it is something that you can do. But if you do, you're just gonna have to pay the consequences for stealing money. Please, this is a joke. Don't steal money. Stealing money is not good. Regardless of any of the legal ways that you get your stones, once you get them, you can spend them a few different ways. One way is to refresh stamina. There is a stamina bar in this game, and you can use Dragon Stones to replenish it, but I really don't recommend it. Please don't ever use your stones on this. Another way you can use your stones is if you die in certain events, you actually get the proc to revive with Dragon Stones. This is something that's been in the game for a long time, and it was a way for you to pretty much keep going on an event that was super difficult at the time. But nowadays, if you're playing and you have decent characters and you die, it's just a skill issue. Like you should not have to spend stones to revive anymore, especially since we have revival characters in the game now. Not that I'm saying it's a bad idea to do it, but genuinely, you shouldn't. Please don't do what I did. I mean, when I did it, it was very early. I had nothing. The game was in its infancy still, essentially. There was no good units out there that could handle the difficult content, so I did what I had to do, and I regret it, but I did it, and it was all for STR Gogeta. Love you, man. But the main use that I would recommend using your Dragon Stones for is to actually summon on the units in the first place. I would like to introduce to you now the summoning feature of the game. Woohoo! So, about every month we would get a Dokkan Fest, which is a celebration that introduces a brand new Dokkan Festival unit within the game. Sometimes it'll just be a regular TUR, and sometimes it could be an LR, but either way, they come forth on a summoning banner, and these banners are where your stones should primarily be going to. As mentioned earlier, you have a single and a multi. Only do the multi, you will get guaranteed SSR this way. Don't ever do a single. Once you hit that multi-summon button though, it's up to RNGesus at that point. There is no strategy, nothing you can do that can manipulate the RNG within this game. You get the character or you don't. It's purely luck. And because this is a gacha game, they want your money. The luck isn't necessarily 100% on your side. You can spend thousands of stones and not get a single copy of the unit. Or alternatively, you can spend your first 50 stones on the banner and get it instantly. So it's really just up to luck at that point. But notice how I said copy earlier. What? Did you think that you got lucky and you got the character on your first summon and you're good? No, this is a gacha game. You can't have just one. Remember earlier when I mentioned about the hidden potential and the skill orbs that I said I'd be coming back to later? Yeah, now is the time, because this is where Dokkan really says, we don't need your money. We want you to give up your entire bank account to us. Like, we do not care. What you're looking at right now is the hidden potential screen for STR Gogeta. Probably the first ever broken unit that the game ever released at the time. There is a lot going on the screen right now, but I'm going to explain it as simple as I can. So here we have the hidden potential nodes that give boosts to your HP, attack, and defense respectively, depending on the color and the symbol that it has. The red node with the fist symbol gives you attack. The blue orb with the body armor gives you defense. And the green orb with the heart gives you HP. Then there are these other nodes that give specific attributes to your unit's strength, and these attributes are based off the typing of the unit. Something that I forgot to mention earlier is that the 5 typings that the game has actually all counter each other in a way. AGL counters SCR, SCR counters Fizz, Fizz counters Int, Int counters Tech, and Tech counters AGL, so it's kind of like a rock, paper, scissors kind of deal. Something else that I forgot to mention as well is that if you actually collect an orb of the same typing as your unit, not only do you get that +2 key benefit, but you actually gain a percentage of HP back. So to put it as simply as I can, the node with the silhouette doing every gym influencer's favorite post to post on their Instagram basically gives you an additional attack boost towards the typing that you're strong against. The node with the guarding silhouette pretty much boosts your defense for the typings that you're strong against. The node with this Kamehameha looking thing is pretty much giving you a percentage boost of extra power that your super attack will do. And lastly, this node pretty much, I don't know what funny way to describe this image, I barely even know what I'm looking at. But it just boosts the percentage of health that you gain when you collect the same type of key sphere as you're typing. While these nodes are nice, they're not necessarily game changers, but the next 3 that I'm about to talk about are game changers. And the introduction of these nodes literally introduced a brand new meta to the game and something that is still hotly debated in the community to this day. Allow me to introduce to you the real reason of the hidden potential system, the additionals, the crits, and the dodge. So again, I'm going to explain these as simply as I can. The node with the sideways fist represents an additional chance, which basically means that the unit that has this gains a chance to do an additional attack that has a chance to become an additional super attack, meaning that it's possible for you to do 2 super attacks within the same turn. The node with the fist symbol, again similar to the attack node, represents a critical hit. Basically, this means that you pierce through the enemy's defense and you do the maximum amount of damage possible that the character can do. You'll know when you get a critical hit when the damage numbers that you see in game turn yellow. And lastly, the node with the silhouette of yeah, she's a runner, she's a track star. This node represents dodge, which basically means that you have a set percentage chance to dodge an attack that's coming at you. These 3 abilities, when they first were introduced, were such a game changer. The meta shook forever, and it was all about getting these on your units because something happening where getting an additional or getting a crit or dodging a super attack could mean the difference between winning or losing. So of course, these monumental, almost game-breaking abilities that were introduced are paywalled in a sense. So remember earlier when I was saying you can't have just 1 copy of the unit? No. You want these broken abilities? Yeah, you're gonna have to get 4 additional copies of the unit plus the original one that you're using. Essentially, you need 5 copies of the unit in order to fully maximize the hidden potential system and get 100% and that rainbow star that you see next to their portrait. The rainbow star basically representing that the character is rainbowed. They're fully maxed out and there's nothing more you can do with them. But thank the merciful people at Bandai for allowing us to get just a taste, because if you just pull that 1 copy of the unit with no additional copies, that's what we call a 55% unit. 55% being how much percentage you can fill out of the hidden potential before you're stopped because you need more copies to unlock more paths. At 55%, you can actually get a 5% bonus to either additional, crit, or dodge, depending on your typing. So yeah, open up your wallets and spend your money because you need 5 of these bad boys. And alongside these hidden potential nodes, we also have skill orbs, which are fairly new. They're not too new, but they're the latest things that were added to the hidden potential system. Not to get into too much details, but these skill orbs essentially give you boosts as well, and there are skill orbs that can actually give you additional additional chance to additional crit and dodge, as well as giving you HP up, defense up, stuff like that. But of course, in order for you to get access to all 3 skill orb slots, you have to have at least 2 copies in the hidden potential system. And while technically you can choose which path you go down with the copies that you get, there is a specific order that you kind of want to follow. It's always going to be bottom right, top right, then bottom left. This gets you 69%, 79%, 90%, and then finally that 100% respectively. There is no other way that you should be unlocking the hidden potential of your units. This is the way. And that's the most simplest explanation that I can give you for the hidden potential system. Truthfully, it's good. It's not the worst thing that Dokkan has done. Clearly they want you to get extra copies, so you have to buy stones to get those extra copies. It's very clear what their intention is, but it does give you a sense of progression. And hey, you could just be super lucky and get your 5 copies in a minimum amount of stones. That is very possible. Or you can get severely unlucky and get your 5 copies in thousands upon thousands of stones. It all RNG. But now let me present to you a scenario. You, as an average player, spent some money on the game and you got your favorite unit at the time, and you're so happy, you got them rainbowed and wow, they're so good. And then you keep playing the game, and then like a year or 2 down the line, that character feels like it is impossible to use because they cannot keep up with the ever-changing meta of the game. Yeah, it really doesn't feel too good, but that's just kind of how gacha games work. The older the unit, the suckier they are because they're not going to have the brand new features that the newer units have because they're old. But Dokkan does something that I don't think a lot of gacha games even do. And it's something that I really love and has brought a lot of real life back into the game. And that was their introduction of Easy A's. Earlier I talked about the Easy A stages, but now I get to explain what Easy A's actually are. Easy A's, or again, Extreme Z Awakenings, are a way for old units to become revamped, revitalized with a brand new kit, brand new effects on their super attack, passive skills, and the like that give them current abilities that make them viable and strong again in the game's current meta at the time. And I'm not gonna lie to you, there are some Easy A's that are very good and some that are very bad. But Easy A's were introduced a long time ago at this point, and even the first ever Easy A units are outdated. So they kind of just defeated the purpose of an Easy A in the first place, but no worries because they actually recently introduced, as of this year, the Super Easy A's, which gives an Easy A to a unit that already has an Easy A, giving them more life and updated abilities that make them good in 2024's meta, which I think is the most hilariously dumb but effective strategy that I've ever seen this game ever do. Like, a common joke in the community is that when a unit comes out and they're bad, it's funny to say, oh, don't worry, just wait for their Easy A, they'll be good then. And then there are cases where even the Easy A is bad too. And now we can just say, no worries, they're bad, just wait for the Super Easy A. Like, it's a smart way for you to just keep recycling these units over and over again in a sense. And I'm not complaining. Let me use my old units. Let them be godly in the game again, please. I want to use them. Easy A's, by far, my favorite addition to this game. And I think more gacha games should implement elements like this for long-time dedicated players because it's nothing but positivity here. Kind of. But there's something that I keep on mentioning, and it's the community. I keep saying this imaginary, invisible community. Trust me, it's not just me. There are people out there who religiously play this game, who spend thousands of dollars on this game, and I just want to highlight some of the best aspects that this community has to offer. I hope you can hear the sarcasm in best.
Meta this, meta that. Have you ever met a girl before?
Alright, let me not be so negative. Our community isn't that bad. We could be worse. And honestly, a lot of the issues that happen within the community are kind of dumb in my opinion. So it could be worse. It could be way worse. I will say that I think there is a big line between the JP players and the global players, especially when it comes to JP players having everything they want and more, and global players just have to watch and just be like, yeah, no, have fun with the new Ultra Instinct Goku, and we're here with Ginyu. Yeah. But regardless, whether you are a JP or a global player, we all come together for the love of this game. And it's really nice when we have the joint celebrations when both global and JP would get the content at the same time. That's kind of gonna be a thing of the past now with the global sync, but even the whole global sync is in contention right now because we don't even know what's happening. But it's just nice when the community can come together and just have fun with the game at the same time. That to me is the best iteration of Dokkan, and the fact that we're so close to getting that iteration, regardless of whether or not we know what's going to happen or not with the global sync, is just an overall amazing thing. The best thing that this game can do. And despite, you know, the occasional bad takes review or drama within the community because of something or other, like, I think that generally it's all positive here. It's all fun. We all enjoy each other. And I genuinely love our community spaces as well. Me personally, I follow the Dokkan Battle community on Reddit, and it's very fun just to scroll through the posts and see what people are posting. And I also follow the official Dokkan Battle Twitter. I follow a lot of Dokkan Battle content creators. And if you don't know about this community, yes, we do have content creators and people who make a living off of playing this game, which is super crazy and hilarious to think about, but it's true. And I think there are specific community pillars that I would like to call them that really like glue this whole thing together, that people kind of gravitate towards. And there's so many that it would kind of be hard to talk about everyone in this video. And while I do believe that there are many community pillars within this community, I think that for me personally, I gravitate towards 3 in particular. The big 3, as I would like to call them. And no shade or anything towards anyone else. It's not that I don't like them, it's just that these are the people that I personally watch the most and I interact with on a daily basis, whether it's just watching their videos or commenting on their videos, stuff like that. But I think it would be super messed up if I didn't say, you know, shout outs to people like Dokkan Assets, Ryuden, Goresh. And I know a lot of them don't do specifically just Dokkan, but those are major people in the community that, you know, are super important in my opinion. And I can't think of everyone off the top of my head, unfortunately, but my big 3 are the ones that I want to highlight today. So without further ado, allow me to introduce my big 3. Allow me to introduce to you Mr. Baby, Nanogenics, and the Truth DT. First, let's start off with Mr. Baby. Mr. Baby keeps me in check because some of my favorite videos that he posts on his channel is videos saying, "Stop, what are you doing? Don't summon." And it saves me sometimes, and genuinely, whenever I have that itch, like, ooh, should I? I always can count on Mr. Baby to put me back into reality, because he keeps it real with us 100%. His daily upload schedule is something to behold because he generally pumps out very good content every day. And he is out here looking out for the global players because he is a global based channel, which is not often you see these days, but he's out here looking out for us every day. And I just want to say thank you, Mr. Baby. You've caught me lacking a couple times, but hey, I've been subscribed, so it's all right. He is a very community-centric person. who really cares about your stones and your free-to-play stones. If you are a free-to-play player, he has tons of videos of how many stones you should be expecting to receive before certain major events, or how many you should summon, or if you even should summon, the way that the banners look, stuff like that. Like, he is looking out for us in every way, and I just want to say thank you, Mr. Baby. You are an OG. You have been at this for a long time, and I genuinely love your content. You're a positive person, and if you're somehow watching this, I don't even know what to say. You're the GOAT. You're Mr. GOAT. And if you are watching this, Mr. Baby, I gotta call you out. We're still waiting on that diss track, man.
The people have spoken. In the comment section of this video right here, everyone is asking for the Truth diss track. So,
Beast Gohan is around the corner, and if we don't have that diss track, you're gonna have to skip. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm waiting. We're all waiting. The next community pillar is none other than Nanogenics. The man, the myth, the guy who had no LRs at first, and now he can't stop pulling them left, right, and center. I just want to preface here that this video is 20 minutes long. Just take a look.
Hey, that's actually a pretty sick SSR art. I love that and are worried about those tickets going away. I think that you're worrying for no reason, because I really like that unit. I still really like that. Is a fake out in the Jiren? Dude, 79. I can put gold equips on Jiren now, and didn't tell us over to go into. Did I just rainbow Jiren in 20 minutes and under 1,000 stones?
Yes. Yes, he did. The luck this man has is insane! There's so many ways I could describe this guy, but overall, just a genuinely positive person and a great content creator. And I'm gonna expose myself for a second, but I love reaction videos, so the fact that Nano posts reaction videos of the animations of the new units is always amazing. Love it. Even though it's not specifically Dokkan, his Legends content, which if you didn't know, there are 2 official Dragon Ball mobile games. While I do have Legends on my phone, I don't play it often because it's not a game for me personally. Dokkan's better. Ooh. But back on track. Some of my favorite content that he posts is his challenge/collaboration videos that he does with other YouTubers. Just them being able to have fun with the games that they're playing is genuinely always a good time to watch. He also uploads summoning videos, which can range from 20 minutes to over an hour depending on how bad his luck is that day. But it's always fun to just pop in an AirPod while I'm working and just listen to him rant or talk about the current events in his life or the current events at the time. Genuinely fun. And when I hear that epic music pop in and I'm not looking at my phone and I'm like, oh, he got it. And then there's like a fake out because like he thought he got it too, but it was just a bad unit. It's always genuinely just so much fun. Overall, Nano is just a really positive guy who's always fun to watch and generally tries his best to make good content, and I can always appreciate that within a person. And Nano, if you're somehow watching this, I just want to say thanks for all you do. I really appreciate it. It's gotten me through a lot of times, good and bad. But finally, we come to the main event, the one that we've all been waiting for, the Truth DT, the man, the myth, the Dodge legend himself. Before I make my next statement, I just want to say that being called a whale in a gacha community is not the same as being called a whale in any other community. Being a whale just means that you spend a lot of money within a game. So with that said, the Truth is the biggest whale in the world. Okay, I don't know if that's specifically factually correct, because technically Nano is also a big whale. But the Truth, I can't fathom how much money he spends on this game. It is genuinely most likely within the millions at this point, and I don't think I'm exaggerating. He makes it his mission to rainbow every single unit that comes out within this game every time they come out, for the first time they come out, which is crazy. And then he posts showcase videos about the new units and showing us what they have to offer at 55%, at Rainbow, at full Link level 10. The man works a lot. When I tell you that he can Link level a character faster than I can blink, it's absolutely crazy. I hate Link leveling with a passion. I think it's the most terrible system that they could have implemented as a leveling system. But he does it in a way that, oh my gosh, like he can Link level a character the day they come out full Link level 10 with just doing the stages alone. He has over 1,000 Link level 10 characters, full Link level 10. And for someone who doesn't know about this game, that's an insane feat. There's like so few people who could claim that. And the fact that he can, like, he eats, breathes, and lives Dokkan. He is Dokkan. And I would like to play a little game. If you're interested, go on his channel and click on any random video that he's uploaded within the past 3 or 4 years. And take that video and grab a bottle of whatever and take a shot every time he says the word dodge. Depending on your choice of drink, you might be dead because the man is a dodge connoisseur. To give context to you guys who aren't in the know, I'm referencing the hidden potential system with the additional crit and dodge. The truth is a dodge advocate through and through. He will always advocate that dodge is the best thing any unit can ever have because dodge is what wins you fights. Dodge is life. Dodge this, dodge that, dodge all this. If you put a gun to his head and you told him to disavow dodge, he probably would say shoot me. The man cannot be reasoned with. And if you did shoot him, he probably would dodge it. To videos where he covers the details of the units, to videos where he fights hard events, to specific showcase videos where he can go for over an hour long just showing us the good and bad of the unit that he's showcasing. His videos are some of my favorite content to watch, and the only bad part is that he posts too many videos. It's hard to keep up sometimes. But my favorite videos are the ones that stir up some controversy, especially his tier list videos, because he will say some of the craziest things in those videos, but it's his video, he can say what he wants, right? But my favorite of all time that he has done just semi-recently actually are his hot take videos. They're over an hour long each video, and it's generally fun to just pop in my AirPod and listen to this guy talk about these bad takes or these hot takes that we, the community, say to him for him to look at and pretty much talk about. It is so much fun, and I love this kind of content. And I acknowledge that he is a bit of a controversial figure because he's very proud in what he says, and he understands the fundamentals of Dokkan, and he will flat out tell you whether you're right or wrong. Whether or not you think you're right or wrong, he'll just tell you you're right or wrong. 100% hands down. And a lot of people feel like if you don't agree with him, or if you always think that what he says is right, that you're never going to get anywhere within the game. Which is kind of true to an extent. I mean, form your own opinions about the things that you like or the things that you don't like, but at the end of the day, I choose to follow him because I just like watching him. I like his content. I like what he does. I may not agree with everything that he says, but I mean, it doesn't have to be that way. I can still have discourse with him and still enjoy his content. And that's something that I think a lot of people don't realize. But regardless, the Truth DT, if you're listening to this, I just want to say one thing and one thing only. You are the GOAT.
Wow, I need a minute to think about this.
I wish I could remember more about the day I first downloaded Dokkan, but I really can't. It's been so long ago. But I do remember that Gogeta just came out, STR Gogeta, the original STR Gogeta. and it was around Christmas time. So I think that probably places it around late 2016 because the first anniversary had to have come out. Yeah, something like that. But I have fond memories of getting Gogeta off of those summons and then having to work hard on his Dokkan event to get his medals, and that Dokkan event at the time was one of the hardest things ever, and I spent stones to revive. Oh man, memories. And thankfully, I think around this time Dragon Ball Super was finally transitioning away from the movies, since they decided that the first 2 arcs of Super were just gonna retell the story of Battle of Gods and Resurrection F, and we finally got into the Universe 6v7 tournament. And while the tournament wasn't the craziest thing in the world, I do remember the day that Goku vs. Hit came out, and then a little while later, Goku vs. Hit came out on Global essentially, and we got a Hit unit, and I was like, whoa, this is cool. And then after that, we got hit with the Goku Black arc. And when we got that Goku Black unit in Dokkan, I was like, ooh, okay, I see what's happening. This is cool. The hype for Dragon Ball Super for me was really getting up there. And one day my sister decides to just watch the episode with me, and she was just getting into anime herself, and she got hooked along with me, and it became like a weekly ritual that we had. With every new episode that came out, we would sit down together and just watch it. And every time I saw a hype moment, I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to see this in Dokkan. And then I got to see it in Dokkan, and I was like, oh my gosh, yes. One moment I specifically remember is when Vegeta was pummeling down on Goku Black and was pretty much saying that how he can't be as strong as Goku is because he stole his body and he doesn't even know how that body works, so there's no way that you could be stronger than us. And then that whole moment, oh my gosh. And then when they translated it into Dokkan, I was like, yes, this is literally, I cannot ask for anything else. And since I'm watching these episodes with my little sister and sometimes my little brother, they noticed that I'd be playing Dokkan as we're watching these episodes, and they asked me what that is, and I explained it to them, and then they decided to download it too because it looked fun. And for a short period of time, all 3 of us were playing Dokkan, and it was so much fun being able to show them how it is, how the game plays, and how bad my summons are and how good my brother's summons are. Like, I still hate that he got certain units that I never got on his first try, and he doesn't even play the game anymore. Some of my fondest memories were definitely staying up late for anniversary or for worldwide and just being hyped to summon, and we would all get together and summon together, and we actually created a ritual for good luck that we don't really do anymore because it's not something that they play, but in my head, whenever I summon, I still do it, and sometimes I get good, sometimes I don't. But it's always just like that little things that we did as we were younger that still stick with me to this day. And it all came to a point where Super was finally finishing up, and we were getting towards the last couple episodes of the Tournament of Power, and we got to see Ultra Instinct Goku, MUI Goku. The unexpected Goku and Frieza team up against Jiren was genuinely so much fun to watch, and so much fun to experience with them. And as I remember watching the last scene of the anime with my siblings, I was like, man, what a great anime. But then it ended. The ending was bittersweet because I knew in my head that because the anime was ending, no new content was going to come into Dokkan. But not only that, we wouldn't be able to have our weekly watch parties of Dragon Ball Super anymore. And it wasn't the biggest deal. We moved on to other animes. But I look back on that time and it was genuinely just some of the funnest time I've ever had with my siblings. Thankfully, that didn't stop Dokkan though, because even though there was no new anime content to work with, they were still pumping out units like crazy, and Dokkan was still going strong. And around this time, I managed to actually graduate high school and head on off to college. And as I walked across that stage, optimistic for my future, little did I know that my first semester of college was gonna be hell. It was the worst time in my life. And I knew people from my high school who were going to the same college as I was, but I didn't really keep in contact with them, nor did I keep in contact with any of my other friends that I made along the way. When I went to college, I was alone. That's what I thought, at least. I had no idea what I was doing. I don't want to bore you with the details, but a lot of my least favorite memories that I can think of came from that semester. It was not the best time in my life. I had Dokkan though, and with all this change around me and me having to change along with it, to have a constant just being able to go on my phone and play my stupid little mobile game, it really got me through a lot of tough times. And Dokkan was just always an escape. And while I can't say that Dokkan changed everything, I can't deny the fact that it wasn't there for me either. It was just a dumb game. Why would a dumb mobile game that takes my money matter so much? I can't even tell you. It just does. When I finally finished that first semester, I didn't know if I wanted to continue college. I knew I had to. My parents would have been furious if I decided to drop out. I knew that wasn't an option, but I did contemplate it a lot. But I stuck through it, and thankfully I did, because in my second semester, I met the love of my life. And to this day, we're still together, thankfully, and things got better. And Dokkan was still there for me. And as things were getting better, I was able to get in contact with an old friend of mine that I wanted to message for the longest. I decided not to at first because I didn't want to bother him. But I just messaged him about Dokkan because he too was a Dokkan player. And we talked a lot about Dokkan. And we just kept messaging each other back and forth, talking about the new units or the new summons and don't summon on this or don't summon on that. And Dokkan was that medium between us. And out of all the people who I knew in high school and all the friends that I had, he is the only one who I still talk to this day. I consider him one of my best friends in the whole world. And I was able to use Dokkan as an excuse just to message him. Our relationship is way beyond Dokkan at this point, but Dokkan was able to give me something that I couldn't just buy in game. It wasn't a unit, it was a friend. And that's something money can't buy. So yeah, it's a mobile game, but it's my mobile game, and I'm gonna stick with it. I've been playing for so long, I literally cannot imagine my life without it. And I know that one day, we're gonna get hit with that end of service notice, where they shut down the servers and Dokkan will be a thing of the past. I don't know if I'm gonna be ready for that day. I play this game every day, but when that day comes, I know for a fact that my bank account is gonna look so much nicer. But as long as Dokkan keeps doing what they're doing, giving us what we want, dropping bangers after bangers, I'ma ride it out to the end. And if there's anything else left to say, it's thank you. Thank you to Akira Toriyama for creating Dragon Ball in the first place. Your legacy will never be forgotten. May you rest in peace. Thank you to Bandai, who decided to create this Dragon Ball game in the first place. For the endless hours of content that you have given me over the years, I could not be more grateful. Thank you to all the people who I love in this world. I don't think I could be doing any of this without any of your support. It means the world to me, way more than you could ever think. Last but not least, thank you for getting to the end of this video. I know it's a bit of a long one, but I did have a lot to say, and I really appreciate the time that you took out of your day to listen or watch this. But now you know why I love Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle. Until next time, see ya.
I will not let you destroy my world!
I am so sorry.